There's another herb that I personally love called, the common name is boneset, or eupatorium is the Latin name. And when you take Echinacea and you put eupatorium with it, and eupatorium is traditionally used to bring down fevers. It also is an immune enhancer, supports the white blood cell count. So when you put Echinacea with boneset together, which is my little trick in my cough, cold and flu mixes, boom, you get such an enhancement of the action. So I love those two together. And then you've got the person standing in front of you. So, okay, they might have a virus, but how does that look for them? Have they got a sore throat? Have they got a headache? Have they got a cough, a cold? So you put in the herbs that are, going to help.
Welcome on the show, Elvian. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited to have you here because you have seen a lot of change in the health industry through the business that you own and work for, Mullum Herbals. And I just start the question of like how has it actually bird's eye view changed between 20 years ago and where we are now? Would you say that things have changed quite a bit and people are more open or better products are there? Would love to hear all of it.
Yes, all of it. Things have changed a lot in the industry. Basically, we started off like a bit of an empty shop, really. People would come in, it would look a little bit like, oh, okay, there's not a lot in here. And yet slowly over the years, the industry has grown and there has been a demand from the public and also the naturopaths involved for better quality products and more science behind the products, showing, how they work, so that our industry has changed from a grassroots movement, let's say, where I started. I first studied naturopathy because I was a mother of some stepchildren and my own children, and I didn't know the handbook to motherhood and how to take care of them without running to the doctor every time.
Oh, wow.
So I started experimenting with herbs with the children, but I also studied as well. And, and these things really helped and worked, and learning about diet and how that works with family. But, I have watched the industry grow, where the companies have taken on a lot of the research for us, which is supportive. Yeah. And our own little business in Mullum, which is not so little anymore. We have 9 people working there.
Oh, wow.
And, as I said, it was empty in the beginning. Now it's so full, it's brimming.
So when you said it was empty, was it just because there was nothing on offer, or weren't you quite sure what people want? Or, I know you also make a lot yourself nowadays, so you produce actually your own formulas in that. Yeah,
so in the beginning it was a matter of, understanding what the community wanted, because coming from the position of being a mum that wanted to look after my kids, I also wanted to, this business was about looking after families and community. Right. So, starting to understand what did the community want and what's good quality. Yeah. Part of my job even now is to go through and find what is really good quality and what's not, because there's a lot, as people know, out there, in the naturopathic, herbal, vitamin, mineral world.
So would you say that, you buy one Echinacea into the shop and you can actually see that it might not work for people, or, if you haven't done the test yourself, and then you buy another brand and, do your research, and you actually can really see that one functions so much better than other, even though it's both called Echinacea?
Yes, exactly. And that, as you said, we make a lot of our own things now, well, tinctures, because we were a little disappointed with some of the products that we were getting, and we also wanted to go as organic as possible. So we source from around Australia, a lot of Tasmanian, and make our own tinctures. And our Echinacea, wow, it's amazing. That tingle is
exactly. Yeah, I
really
actually know. I know exactly that tingle that you're talking about. It's very potent, and I guess it's already an indication. Like if you take that type of Echinacea, that you can feel the power of a plant like that. Yeah.
So with the industry growing too, I think that has also brought into education has grown, and it's a bit of an interesting place, the education at the moment, because some of the universities are not wanting to teach naturopathy and natural medicines, saying there's not enough scientific validation. But the private schools and universities that are doing it are ploughing forward, proving there is scientific validation, and it's quite an interesting juxtaposition.
It sounds so. It should be a black and white thing. Either there is research that got published or not. Yeah. So do universities just say, well, there are only 1,000 papers, therefore this is not enough for us, or the research is too new, or what's their quantification anyway for that?
Look, it's not a strong area of mine understanding how they quantify the research or not. And I know there's, as I said, a movement at the moment where there is a lot of the academics in our world that are bringing forth the research and publications to show to the group that are saying there's not the research. So it's kind of, at the beginning of bringing forth the research is there and the trials are there. We just got to bring them forward,
right. And the principle that sits behind the whole field, it's not just a trial and error. This is actually, I would think, about based on quite old principles. Can you speak a little bit?
Empirical, yeah.
Yeah, right.
And look, again, my business is a great example. This year, 20 years in this position, and we are busier and stronger than ever, serving our public with helping them with their daily health needs. And more people coming. And we work with the doctors in the town as well. They'll be like, go see the girls down at Mullum Herbals. They'll help you. Yeah. So this is the evidence. And yes, evidence that goes back, to the beginning of time, where herbs and plants and weeds were used. And that's why I picked this it's a little sad now, a little dry, this weed.
What is it? Oh, is it a weed?
Yeah, this is a weed. And it's called Biddens, Biddens Palooza. And a lot of you might know it as farmers' friends or cobbler's pegs.
Yeah, great.
And this little plant here was always used traditionally, empirically, in villages with people. They often used it for urinary tract infections. Wow. Now, these days, we're finding it is a very potent antibacterial active against a lot of bacteria that may not respond to antibiotics. So we use this little one a lot in our clinic.
Wow, and it's probably really abundantly available everywhere.
Yeah, well, I just walked in your garden now and picked some. So,
Right, so this knowledge about plants like that, as you said, has been there partly from the beginning of the time. Now, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you know it so much better, there was a time where this was much more readily available to people, or just part of the community's knowledge, right? How did it come about, and how did it stop?
That's a big question. Look, how it came about, gosh, I can go back to thinking about, the earliest times where humankind would walk and eat plants as part of their diet. And I guess over time they discovered some things were good, at healing certain things and using on wounds or helping bring fevers down so just, again, by use over time. I guess there were accidents too when plants weren't so good and gladly they'd get passed on because there's toxic weeds and plants out there too, which people should be very cautious of. So knowing what you're doing is important. And then, we have all heard about, in the villages, the wise women generally knew of the plants and herbs to give to the sick, to help with pregnancies, to help with birthing. How that stopped. Well, there was this horrible time when the churches went about accusing these wise women of witchcraft and some men too, and it was driven underground because people were scared to prescribe, hand out their herbs and things for fear of being charged with witchcraft. So they were very dark times. It took a backward step there.
Yeah. Especially in the Western world, yeah?
Yeah. And in traditional tribes and things that carried on. And we're getting a lot of knowledge from the Amazonian tribes and African. We have plants from all around the world, which is the beauty of access to the whole world now. We use plants from everywhere, which is awesome. And the Ayurvedic knowledge too, which Jacinta, my business partner, imparts in the knowledge. That's the ancient Indian way of treating and using plants there. Yeah, so I guess that's why it got pushed back a little bit. But again, you can't suppress something that's great and works. So it's come forward again. And now, the people are demanding the best health possible. And I've always, I think modern medicine is amazing. We are so lucky to have the hospitals and the doctors and the use of what we have. And if we balance it with our traditional plant knowledge and, knowledge of foods, wow, what an amazing system we actually do have here.
Also, some people might come up and say, well, that people just had it in their head. How could that have been properly documented, and how do they remember? But back in the days, and when there was not much written word, I think our brain worked quite differently and was much more able to retain information like that one, and didn't have to rely on necessarily written words to do that. And I think also stories often would carry actually the essence of what a plant would be about, and so on, right? So people, and especially medicine women and what have you, wise women, would contain this knowledge just so vividly that there was just no need of a book or anything like that. And and then in saying that that the Chinese medicine and traditional medicine and Ayurvedics, I'm sure there are lots of written things as well. But something that we discussed with a few guests before is that there was just a point where the attitude of men just changed to the instant fix needed. And I think it has always been a disillusion, and I don't know how that came about, that people just thought like, okay, I need take a pill for any ill and it cures anything. I haven't seen that happening much anyway, other than maybe with painkillers that instantly work, or what I'm saying, I guess, is that there was an attitude, I want the instant, within a day or within an hour, in a result, and I think that wasn't really great for people in general. So have you seen that attitude, and have you seen that attitude?
Even in Mullum Herbals, we get that. Hey, I sometimes have that attitude, but
it would be nice.
Look, I mean, bottom line, I believe health comes down to not just one thing, or not just to medicine either. It's, your lifestyle, the way we live, the way we interact with our community, diet, and we're individuals, so there's not one diet for everybody that everyone seems to be seeking these days, the one diet, but we have to look at who we are, our heritage, our body needs, where we live, the climate, and adjust the diet to that. And then you have your herbs and plants, which help keep you healthy along the way. It's a long-term thing, so it's part of preventative medicine. And then you can have your stronger plants that might act a little quicker, like an analgesic, drug or something like this, or an anti-inflammatory. And then you have your drugs, which are quick snap, so that, give you an instant fix. And even in this day and age, I think they have their place, we just have to be aware what they're doing to the overall effect of the body. And so, even in our business, we see people come in, I'm so sick, I want to be better now, I want to be better yesterday. And we can help to a certain degree, but we all need to understand that getting to the bottom of who we are and how we live and what we use in our life is true health and true healing. And so where that quick instant fix came from, I guess they developed some medicines very cleverly, at the turn of the century that did give that, like painkillers and antibiotics and things like that. And as I said, they've all had their place, but it's probably overuse now that we've come to. And so there's a bit of a grassroots movement of coming back to our natural selves and understanding, how can we take care of ourselves a little better rather than relying on an outside source so much.
Yeah, and it's quite exciting. I think there is more and more consciousness coming back to, well, it takes, we are part of nature, this body that we're in is quite a natural thing. Therefore, it will act as nature, which is normally not the instant fix or the instant healing. It can happen, but when I talk to doctors, they would say, well, when a flu epidemic starts, or when there's quite an outbreak of flu for whatever reason, it's they can remedy the pain and the discomfort, but they say, we know there are 1 day, 3 day, 5 day flus. They will just run their course. It's just what the body does with it. You can't speed that up. You can just reduce the, but so they would say, look, sometimes 80% of the people that actually see us don't really have to see us because we can't do anything about it. It is how nature is. There's, it's good to check in when things are a little bit, too extreme and all the rest of it. Of course, that's what doctors are for. But I think we have lost a little bit the acknowledgement of like, well, this is just what sometimes happens to the body. And then, you just take it easy, or you just find the place to heal again. And it is a little bit lost, but I have the feeling it comes back, that acknowledgement that time is part of the equation.
Well, it's interesting because my husband and I this morning were having a conversation about reinventing our lives, and I said, how about upcycling our lives, because upcycling is a real trendy word at the moment. So I thought, okay, I'm going to help people upcycle their lives, and it's really looking about where are we taking rest, and where are we getting stressed, and what's our balance in life. And herbal medicine is for me a big part of that, because there are herbs that, I talked about the antibiotic properties or antibacterial, I can say of this plant, and there's herbs that are antivirals as well. So they can help reduce the severity of the virus and, support the body to reduce the heat. We want a fever to a certain degree because the fever helps burn, the bacteria, the virus, so on. But you don't want to get it out of control. So you can come in with your herbs to help support the body gently, to lower the fever, to help, reduce the severity and the time of the virus in the body. Sleep, rest, of course, it's the most important medicine, and, in this fast-paced world, we can forget that. And I sometimes get shocked, even in Mullumbimby, we're all going a little fast. And it's like, guys, breathe, slow down, you know. So, it's all about balance in there,
Have you seen a change in, I guess, what the illnesses are that happen in this area over the last 20 years? Like, can you see that people have different symptoms and maybe also different causes for their illnesses that, let's say, 20 years ago when you started?
Yeah, probably the stress thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Number
it's
one.
Just, number one, because people are so much busier, and financial pressure too has come, especially over the last, 5-10 years. People have been a lot more under financial pressure with families and just surviving, paying bills, paying for food, things like that. I've seen that. Definitely relationship pressures.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an interesting time at the moment because there's such a groundswell of people wanting to go back to more natural lifestyle, and yet we still see the stress in our culture as well. And I think people are slowly starting to realise, yes, we need to come back to the community, slow down a bit, and take care of ourselves better.
Yeah, there's so many different options available now to everyone that can also really be, I think, quite harmful. And the people in this area, it's probably one of the most progressive and open-minded areas in Australia for sure, and is known around the world for it. With all the options that one has and all the options to experiment with it, I think there comes also, I guess, a complacency. If something doesn't work, it might actually not be the method, but actually the person not wanting to go there or not wanting to stick really with like, well, it will only work if I do it for a whole week, and then there are excuses why not, and so on. And I found that interesting, looking at maybe a culture in a time where there was only one structure that people could explore and use, but because it was just so ingrained in the culture, they would actually do it. So, like, I don't know, if we would be a meditating culture, for example, or a Buddhist culture, then there would be the meditation always part of the day, which means, there's taken care of quite a bit of the problems that arise if you don't have that mindfulness or the quiet time, right? So I found that I'm just thinking about it because, I'm just the same. Like, I have all sorts of options of what I can do, but I think there is real gold of like, okay, it doesn't actually matter too much what you use because there's so many things that work, but you just have to stick with it and just stick for a while with it and see what happens. And the fast-paced cultures, I just change over. It hasn't had the results within a week, so just do something else. Can be quite dangerous, hey?
Well, simplicity is something I certainly love, and I perceive that a lot of people are seeking simplicity in their lives again, because with the internet and access to the World Wide Web, and I watch myself go there too, all this information, all these people, all these places, to the point of, wow, look at all this information, And, when I walk out in your garden there and I see the nasturtium and the comfrey and the sage and the thyme, something in me just settles and the simplicity kicks in and it's such a healing for me, the garden, the plants, the herbs, and you guys offering a cup of herbal tea to start the morning. It's a way of calming down and relaxing. And so finding, whether it's meditation, I love myself and find really beautiful, and the way we live our lives in simplicity and connection. And we were talking a little bit about ambition before, like with companies that have their ambition and their financial goals and so on and so forth. And you were saying that more companies are coming back to putting the people first. So definitely. I guess in some ways that's a sign also of the recognition that we've got to slow down a little bit and be a little bit more real with each other and simple with each other. Yeah,
and to me, quite like the corporate setup from the point of view that if you don't get it right, you actually cease to exist. If you so from a financial point of view, not looking after your people is not such a good thing, because it's actually quite there's a lot of effort that goes into finding the right people and then retaining them. And if you don't do that, if you just run through it so quickly through one person after the other, and they come and they leave and they come and they leave, that really disrupts the thing called company, or enterprise. And I remember my dad worked in the schooling system in Germany, and he taught something that was called economic ethics. And there was insurances and banks asking for teaching that, because they could see that people had a real problem with their values when they worked in that industry, and finding that balance between being proud of your what you do and bring the company, enough income is really, really important. And then something that you said earlier, I thought that was just the same as, if we know that financial stress and setup of our world really affects people and they get sick, that's not good for the GDP of the country. So that means actually that politicians must have, and I'm sure they do, have a real interest in making sure that everyone is healthy. And I think that will become more and more obvious to the world, because the countries who look really after their people, they become really productive, really happy, and therefore, there are many different factors that change to the better. And I think it's a time where information is so readily available that it could really, that it could happen again, and the people come first. As I said, the companies have realized it, but I'm sure governments have to go there too.
What you were saying there about the awareness and growth of medicine, I guess. I'm watching in the field of medicine, there's a thing called functional medicine now. And my understanding of what functional medicine means is that doctors and naturopath, because there's a whole group of doctors that have moved across to looking at this functional medicine, where we are looking right into the working of the body. There's different pathways in the body. And a big thing that people are looking at now is genetic testing, which, you're not going to run out and test every single client that comes in to see you. But when you get cases where something's just not clicking here, we have the availability of this functional medicine and the functional medicine testing, where we can go, oh, look, this pathway is not working. And lo and behold, we only need this vitamin or this mineral here to open that pathway up again. And that child's now not getting that particular problem or, issue, or that the depression's leaving, or so we have also this wonderful scientific side of natural medicine happening at the moment as well. And with the genetic testing too, we can see what medicines will work on certain people. And so, this is an area here that I don't think the governments are quite behind yet, but it's got to happen because it works. And it's going to, again, the preventative medicine word that I said, save a lot of money in the long run with healthcare, and save, because as beautiful as our natural medicine is too, sometimes it's not working because you're not giving the right thing for that particular individual. So we can use this scientific medicine as well and give the right supplements and the right foods and the right things. And so it's such a beautiful melting, blending time. I think it's exciting, as you said, really, of what we have coming for the future of, the lovely traditional medicines and scientific pathway forward.
What is exciting about technology nowadays is that things become really inexpensive. I don't know how much it costs to decipher the first gene, back in the days, and then it became exponentially cheaper to do that. And nowadays the test, a DNA test is not that expensive anymore at all. And I'm sure many other tests that you have access now, that because of our logistic network, you can actually get it there within 24 hours as it might need, whatever it might be. And it's great to see that something that is so traditional, and you could also see could think that it's really conservative, is not, because the core principle is to help people, I believe, and therefore whatever works will be integrated. And I think that's a really beautiful acknowledgement of what really is at the core. Yeah.
Well, where we come from with our little business, we've got, kind of all the core basics. People can come in with their, we've got fresh plants for planting their garden. You come in, you've got the dried herbs for making teas, and we've got our lovely tinctures for making it a bit stronger. And then we do have the supplements and things like that. So, you want to start simple. Usually it's just simple tweaks with people's diet or lifestyle to help them, to come back to a balance of health. But as I said, there's some people out there where we're just going, what's going on? Yeah. So it's great that we've got the technology now to go, okay, well, we need to test further here and find out. Yeah. So,
What are your sort of five go-to remedies that you see mostly used by people, and the underlying question is probably what are people's problems at the moment mostly? And I think you said like stress is certainly number one. What would be those five herbs and tinctures?
Well, classically, coughs, colds and flus. I have a little saying, we see a lot of coughs, colds, flus and urinary tract infections.
Really? Yeah.
But anyway, the coughs, colds and flus. And, from my understanding, they're getting their colds and flus because the immune system is down because they're stressed or various things are happening. Yeah. So the virus can invade and take them down. I know myself, if I get tired and I don't rest, then I can be open to getting something. And usually if you can rest, then you don't get sick as much and have the supportive things. So, yes, good old Echinacea. Sometimes I roll my eyes at Echinacea, but hey, it is such a beautiful white blood cell enhancer and lymphatic cleanser. It's just such a beautiful herb. And there's another herb that I personally love called, the common name is boneset, or eupatorium is the Latin name. And when you take Echinacea and you put eupatorium with it, and eupatorium is traditionally used to bring down fevers. It also is an immune enhancer, supports the white blood cell count. So when you put Echinacea with boneset together, which is my little trick in my cough, cold and flu mixes, boom, you get such an enhancement of the action. So I love those two together. And then you've got the person standing in front of you. So, okay, they might have a virus, but how does that look for them? Have they got a sore throat? Have they got a headache? Have they got a cough, a cold? So you put in the herbs that are, going to help. A herb that I love for coughs and chest and also has immune enhancing action is pelargonium. It's from the geranium species. Okay. It's beautiful. It helps dry up that horrible cough and mucus. It's sweet tasting, so it's nice for kids. Yep. Oh, gosh, there's so many herbs that I love. Out in your garden, we don't actually use this a lot in the clinic, but I tell people, have you got nasturtium growing out in your garden? Go eat the leaves, and the little berries that grow on them, the little seeds.
Okay.
That's a natural antibiotic. It clears up mucus. Get it in your salads, eat it in your diet. It's brilliant. That's why it grows wintertime, because it's needed. You look at the plants that grow, and when they grow, and they're often used at those times. Elderberry. Elderberry is a tree. You might know elder wine they used to make.
Yep.
And the berry is used to bring down fevers. That's another one I love particularly at this time of the year. It tastes sweet. It can bring down a fever. And the flower of the elderberry is a really lovely tasting herb that can bring the mucus, especially away, kids that get all snotty and that kind of thing. So I said echinacea, boneset, nasturtium, elder, pelargonium. Yeah, I can go on. And biddens, I love this more and more. Those urinary tract infections with your juniper. And there's another herb, a Chinese herb actually, Coptis sinensis, that has beautiful antibacterial deep cleansing activity that we use a lot for infections and things. So it's another one that I love.
Yeah. And I think Hippocrates said, like, thy food be your medicine and your medicine your food. And almost calls like having a special, little cafe as part of Mullum Herbals to bring these salads out that, they're nutritious and yummy and all the rest of it, but actually bring these medicines into it. Because I'm sure, I guess when you talk to people who look at nutrition and what's available at the moment in the supermarket or in the normal shops, there's a lot of the same. And, it's just, a lot of wheat and a lot of, starches and all the rest of it. But if you would really eat what's grown around you, you would probably have quite a dose of medicine every day. And it would be just the normal thing to do, hey?
Well, everyone talk about superfoods, they're buying these expensive packets of superfoods. Well, you can have your own superfoods. And I know a lot of people live in suburban environments where it's kind of hard to grow their own foods and things. Well, I had the luxury of living on properties and where I could grow my gardens and grow foods. But now I actually live in a suburban place in Lennox Head where I complain because I don't get loads of sunlight and growing space. But I have learnt to grow in pots. So, I have always growing parsley. If there's one thing you're going to grow tons of parsley and eat parsley every day, high in vitamin C, your iron, other minerals as well. Your greens like your spinaches and perpetual spinaches, you can grow in little pots. I have them growing there. Lebanese cress grows like wildfire. You don't need a lot of sun to grow it. That's, really, you can grow all sorts of things. Your nasturtiums, they grow like a weed. So, even around suburbia, this is a dream that I have of, planting suburbia with food and trees where people can just walk around. And they are superfoods. They're fresh grown, you pick them straight away so you get the instant vitality and, it's not expensive. That's a vision I have of the future of food everywhere.
It's so exciting. And I think there's really something said about, public health and just making sure that the right food is available and, that people grow their own things. But, I acknowledge and, having kids myself, that there's not that much time during the day. But I think there's a growing movement for actually making sure that what's supplied is not only fresh, but is actually also healthy and it's the right variety or, it's a heirloom variety that is known for having additional properties rather than really a hybrid or, whatever have you. And we're talking to John Bumpus. He's a mineral specialist when it comes to hair testing and that type of thing. And we were coming up with the idea of actually focusing on bringing certain minerals just back into the body, but just knowing actually what people miss and, and making sure that when you grow, you actually have the right minerals available rather than the bare minimum of what the plant needs as well, hey?
Well, that comes back to the soil, doesn't it? In Australia, we have very, very old soils and they're usually zinc deficient, magnesium deficiency. And you said to me, well, what do I see in the clinic? And that was something I didn't mention at the time is, every second person is zinc deficient and magnesium deficient. And
by testing it actually. You can see that in tests, well, you can talk to them
What's
Yeah.
going on? Oh, you're getting cramps at night. Oh, okay, you're not healing so well. Oh, you can look at your fingernails. You know, we have the old-fashioned way of
Well,
testing.
because you probably, if you would do the testing, you would just see the same thing, right?
Yeah, true. But you know, I don't have the clinic when they the testing when they walk in, so I can ask a few questions, and that was traditionally the naturopathic way of looking at the person, looking at your fingernails, looking at your skin, hair, talking, asking some questions. So yeah, we can see quite easily that these deficiencies, and often it's just helping adjust that. And yeah, obviously it would be great if we can get it out of food all the time, but sometimes you need to supplement people to bring them back into balance too. So yeah,
selenium would be probably another one. I know
New
Zealand, Australia, it's really low on that.
The soils here are quite poor, and I know there's some companies and movements out there are working to get the minerals back in the soil, and through biodynamic gardening and those sorts of things. There's no point in growing in poor soil. So
That's right.
And that's, you know, we check the quality of where our herbs come from and everything too, because we want it organic and we want good quality. And that's what I think, you know, we're seeing coming through. We're very passionate about getting the right thing out to the people. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. So I guess you were saying like number one is probably stress. The underlying cause for actually the symptoms that people portray show, and the second one sounds like malnutrition, or one of the big ones would be also malnutrition, I guess.
Malnutrition's a big word, but in these small areas of the magnesium or the zinc or selenium or iodine or different little things too, you know, and you know, we've got to look at the different diets that people eat too, you know, that might be lacking in certain nutrients as well. So if you're going to do specific diets, you've got to make sure you've got the nutrients covered that our physical body, because we still have this physical body, needs to,
Personally, I dove into many different diets and, you know, or maybe just theoretically dove into it and said, this is not for me. But I'm aware of many, and there is always a intent behind it that makes overall sense. But I do believe it has increased of what's out there. What's your take on diets nowadays? You know, like the gluten-free one, the keto, the paleo, you know, all of them. Like what's, because I'm sure you see also the here's another thing I just want to throw in there. So, you know, talked to Mason Taylor recently, and he said, look, you know, there's a real, because people are sick, they want the wonder pill, but they don't necessarily trust the medical side of things anymore. So they are a low-hanging fruit for people who come with the latest superfood or the latest thing. And this will be the thing that will sort you out. This is all you need, and so on. And I think that's the same a little bit with the diets, that people just jump onto next, oh yeah, this is the solution. I found it. This is it. But I'm sure you see the other side where people actually realize, well, you know, after this diet, I felt I was worse off than before. And I certainly know that for myself. I've done certain things that just, it didn't even make sense to me. I certainly still did it and was worse off. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because I think it's quite a topic.
It's a huge topic. And yet again, I come back to simplicity. And the simplicity for me is, who are you? Where do you live? Like genetics to a certain degree comes into it, because if you grew up in like a Northern European, I have a lot of Celtic in my history, so I'm fine with butter, you know. I love my butter. You know, my partner, he is from Italian heritage. He loves olive oil. So, you know, there's people from the South Pacific, and there's the coconut oil. Oh, which fat do we eat, you know? So that comes as part of looking at what diet to do. So I think with diet, you've got to find out who you are. And then when you starting to understand who you are, and you'll start to understand what's right for you. We all have different metabolic types. That means we burn things, we process things differently. You know, our beliefs and spiritual beliefs are going to come into it too. What do I believe? What do I feel right with? You know, so you've got to feel good about your diet as well. So that's, I don't think that there is one diet, one answer, one way for everybody. I think we've all got to, find the right diet. And it may change at different times. I have been through my period of being a vegetarian, and that worked for me at that point in time. Then I got pregnant. And my body went, no.
Sounds familiar again.
So I listened to that. I even had a dream about that where I was told, what medicine I needed at that time. And the big picture of things, I would, love the planet to be vegetarian and, us to be doing our farming practices in different ways. Having said that, I still think we have to come back to who we are and what our body needs at the time, and it may change at different times of our lives too. And so I think with all healing and medicine, and as a naturopath, it's a funny word sometimes. I go, what does that even mean? As a person that can support and help people to understand themselves and then find the right choices in food and in herbs and medicine. If that's what I can do, then I'm doing something, helping them understand what's right for them and their family.
Great.
Yeah.
So it's
rather
really,
telling them you've got to do this. This is the only way. This is right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're really probing and just asking the questions and just helping people to have.
And with diet, to answer your question too, I think people really, need to. Experiment. If you're concerned, you can get genetic tests which will help you learn and understand how you process certain things. Some people aren't meant to do paleo. Some people aren't meant to be vegan. It just depends on your body type. Yeah. You can find that out too if you really want to get into it on that science level.
How much is the test nowadays like that?
Oh, look, I'm not sure, but I want to say around $60-$80, I think.
Really? That sounds inexpensive.
What's it, where you find out your heritage from your family that doesn't need to say company, but there's lots. They're all starting it now. And then you can get into other companies that will give you the results and help you interpret it too, because interpreting it is, they have like, genetic coaches to help you understand, because it can be a little complicated too. But So
that, you were saying that a lot of people come with colds, flus, and that type of thing, and you always have to say echinacea, and then but you also acknowledge actually it's the immune system that is down. So if I just rephrase what you said, you're basically saying like stress is a major one, and that comes from all sorts of areas in people's life, relationship, as you said, financial, but then probably also the body actually not coping for one reason or another. Can you see complacency like a pattern of complacency when like we as customers come into your into your shop? What would you say is the one thing that people just don't acknowledge, and you think to yourself, if you just would do this, you probably wouldn't come here. Like, is there one such thing?
Well, I'm going to say the S word, sugar.
Okay, yeah, right.
Look, we live in an area where most people have great diets and pretty healthy and so on. But that S word's a sneaky little thing, sugar. You really need to read everything, look at everything, or just only eat non-bought stuff. It's a food that's not so great for our bodies. Yeah. Maybe in certain places at certain times, but certainly processed sugar that has infiltrated throughout the whole food industry. We are understanding now that so much inflammation and problems come from a thing that doesn't really belong in the human diet, And look, I don't know if I can just apply it to, this area being complacent, but it's one thing that, I was a couple of years ago myself, I went, right, I'm going to completely give up sugar. Yeah. And the amount of things that I saw it in, there's one little favourite sauce that only just the other day that my husband loves, that I went, oh, there it is. Look, no wonder that tastes so great, So, look, I guess I can't really apply it to this area being complacent, but what I can apply it to is it's a sneaky little thing that if you really want to weed out things that aren't so great for your body, that's a great one to get onto and look for. And eat as much natural and unmanufactured as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. I talked to food manufacturers before. They were saying that, well, it's the cheapest ingredient. So if you want to bulk up your, let's say your muesli or something like that, adding sugar is very inexpensive compared to any of the other ingredients. Plus, it makes people really want to eat it. One other thing that I just wanted to touch at this is when you actually work with people, like how do you know what to apply? Or is it just like what framework in mind do you actually use? Or do you have different people and it says, I say this is actually more for our Ayurvedic practitioner, or this is more for the person that knows more about the local herbalism? How do you go about knowing which school of thought, I guess, to apply first?
Good question. So people come into us and we have a service that's called over the counter where they can come in and not have like a full consultation. So, we're treating their everyday illnesses and things, but then someone's got something that's a little bit like a bit more. So, asking a few questions about what's going on for them. And I offer the Ayurvedic pathway, which has become quite popular over the last so many years. And some people just say, or they'll come in and ask specifically for the Ayurvedic pathway, which is not about the scientific testing. It is, about reading pulses and assessing that person, the dosha that they are, and helping apply herbs and diet and everything and exercises according to their particular type. So by asking the questions, I'll say, you want to go the Ayurvedic way. Some people want to go the more science way. They'll want to go to the functional medicine testing pathway. So I'll recommend to my practitioner that does that. I have another very traditional herbal woman who also works with energy healing and crystals and things like that. So we'll go that way with her. So, and my business partner, one of my business partners is a man and he's very science orientated as well. So, we might go that pathway with him just by asking a few questions and seeing what that person would want. Do you want a male? Do you want a female? Do you want this pathway, that pathway? People seem to have a pretty good idea. Some people go, I don't care.
Whatever works.
Yeah. But also when someone just comes into us too, you are doing a very quick assessment of how can you help them now and get them that relief as quick as possible, to help them, but to show them also that, these things can help you pretty quickly, but then the work's to be done next along, you've got to follow the pathway.
Also, a prescription would include not only a couple of medicine, herbs, whatever, but also actually to do in relationship to changing habits and doing certain things differently.
In a full naturopathic consult, definitely, absolutely. It's what's going on here, what's at the root cause of what's going on here.
You mentioned that you also work more and more with doctors. Is that something that has increased a lot over the last 20 years?
Well, in Mullumbimby, certainly. We've had doctors come in and introduce themselves because I think the doctors themselves are getting more interested, the younger ones, and aware of natural medicines. And so, they will write scripts and send people to us because they're studying these things too and understanding how it works, that just giving an antibiotic's not going to fix this, or they're understanding that, there is a deficiency here or something's out of balance too. So in Mullumbimby, that has increased a lot for us. It's interesting because I would love to have more meetings with them, and it seems like time with us even that hasn't happened. But I have had visions of really having. There's been a couple of meetings, especially a few years ago around the limes. Thing. A lot of the doctors got interested in the limes, and so we had a meeting with the doctors about limes and what they're doing about it and what we're doing about it, and that was rather great. So it'd be great to see more interaction and more talking and sharing about these things, truly,
Because it is definitely a profession just as as naturopaths or what have you, where the people come, well, most doctors that I know go into this profession not to make lots of money, but actually to really help people. That's in the core of why they're doing what they do. And it has been a field that was always interested. Actually, I wanted to become a doctor, but then thought like, I might not be quite clever enough, and so I didn't do it. But, the interest has always been there. And when talking to people, and they might have a really quite conservative view on, Newtonian thinking that, it has to be all scientifically proven and isolated and, has nothing to do with emotion. That's quite an old mindset. But even when talking to those people and disagreeing with them, I can see, well, that's what the framework that they just operate in. And if they can see that something else is working and there's a safe place to go and still have credibility and still feel like I'm doing the right thing, this is backed up, this is safe to practice or to recommend, they will go then. No few doctors in Germany, and there has always been quite a traditional. The traditional remedies were always part of their recommendation, So that's how I grew up. Often I wouldn't get actually medicine when I go there. They would assess it and say, "Look, this is all in the safe place. Just get more rest or drink more." Or, quite really simple things. And there has always been accepted. But what I can see now is that Ayurvedic or traditional Chinese medicine comes in and is just part of their repertoire, of their toolkit, if you like. And because it is definitely accepted by a part of the population, but also more and more by medical boards or, ministries, that they actually say this can be part of it and can be supplementary to what traditional was seen as the medical profession. So yeah, it's beautiful how that evolves. And then I think we're really in for a treat of seeing that merge again. And yeah, I credit the communication nowadays with the internet actually a lot of good things as well because of that, because the knowledge is just out there and people talk about it. And as I said, like, I think doctors are there like a sponge and just find what can help to help my people that I look after. Hey?
Well, it's a nice way to kind of bring things to a conclusion here in that, I see it's been a dream of mine. There was many years ago we had a talk in Bangalore of a panel of a doctor, a psychologist. I was a naturopath and some other people, maybe an acupuncturist and a chiropractor. And when it was my turn to talk, I stood up and I think everyone was expecting me to say, medicine's bad, it's got to be all natural, so on. And I said, hey, we have this really amazing modern medical system, of our hospitals and doctors and saving lives and broken arms and snake bites and things that I don't want to know about. But, and we have this amazing traditional medicine as well, from the Chinese, from the Ayurvedic, from, European herbalism, African, South American. We have the whole world at our fingertips here. And we can learn from all of it and come together. And for me, a favourite saying I have is hold your vision and walk your path of beauty, which is, me practicing my herbalism in the community and sharing what I can. And I think if all of us hold our vision and keep walking our path and holding the vision, that we are going to have this beautiful collection of medicine for the people and, strengthening of the community, coming back together, growing food and sharing. And it's a vision that I have and hold.
Yeah. No, I can see that more becoming reality, really. Elvian, we have 3 questions that we normally ask people at the end of the show. And the first one would be, what are the 3 things that get you up every morning?
Well, my family and community is... I guess I can break them into 2. My family, I love my family. I'm a very strong family woman. I'm a strong matriarch, mother. I love my kids and, my husband and then, my work, which is my community. And I hadn't pre-thought this, but jumping in my head right now is learning something new every day, which I do. And being open to going that aha every day of, wow, that's a cool new herb, or that's a new thought, or yeah.
Yeah, no, I relate to that.
Yeah, that's true.
And what's the favorite thing? What's at the moment your favorite thing? Like, if you
Well, look, I guess my family was always number one, and now they're all grown up and kind of moving away and doing their thing, and my community is humming away. It's right now in this moment I'm getting that aha. It's like a rediscovering of myself at this mature age that I am now. It's a new way for me. So I'm getting a lot of the aha, and it's like a new life again, a newness coming for me, which is great.
Yeah. I can see that. Certainly. Yeah. Excitement there. The last question we have is always wondering, why do you think these humans are here? Like, why do you think we do this? Like,
did you know what was in my head this morning when I woke up?
I don't know.
Oh, gosh. I was thinking about my mother this morning, and she passed away last October, and I was with her at the time. And I was thinking about her this morning and the last kind of year of her life. And I could see she was kind of questioning that, why were we here? Had a great time, but why were we here? And, I could say something like evolution and spiritual evolvement. And I do believe that on some level. But I don't know. It's, maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's not a reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I would like to believe that there's some form of evolution of spirit and us as beings, not necessarily even staying as humans, but as beings. Yeah.
Which is then probably true for not only the humans, but the animals around and the plants and what have you.
But I think I'm still learning that question.
Yeah, great, which is one of your favorite things to do. Improves the life. That's great.
Yeah.
Elvian, thank you so much for making the time. Really appreciate it. I hope I have you on the show again in a later stage and just hear what is happening in the community and in that field that has been growing and as a hope for many people, but it's also an expression of where society has come to, and that brings the old and the new together in a really beautiful way.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.